I get calls from landlords all the time wanting to know, how do I deal with problem tenants? The answer is easy, and we're going to talk about it today. My name is Mitch Stephen, and I've been on both sides of the fence. I've been a buy and hold landlord, and I've been an owner financier. And I'm going to show you why I chose to be an owner financier and how I handled my problem tenant. When you're a landlord and you have good tenants and things are going great, there's nothing better. As a general rule, when I pick up properties that have tenants, if they're doing good, I don't mess with them. You know, just don't go up and kick a sleeping dog. It's fine. Everything's fine. Leave it alone. But when they become problems, then I start to switch my strategy. I don't like being a landlord. I don't like the tenant calls. I don't like the calls for toilets and repairs. I don't like the move-outs and the make-readies. I don't like the destruction that happens when tenants leave. I don't like any of that stuff. And I found a strategy that eliminates it all, but I can still keep the cash flow. And most of all, I can pick up bigger financial commitments up front in the form of a down payment, and I can count on the cash flow that's coming in because it's a mortgage cash flow, not a rental cash flow. I used to own 25 rent houses, and I thought I was going to clear about $7,500 a month maximum on paper. Even I wasn't that naive. I knew that maybe I would have to pay for some repairs and some move-outs, and so I was only counting on $3,500 of the $7,500, but I didn't even collect that. The liabilities that you are responsible for as a landlord start at the front mailbox, and they go all the way to the back fence and all the way to the fence on both sides. Anything that breaks, it's coming out of your pocket. What made matters even worse is the people living in my houses didn't care. They didn't really have a big financial commitment. Maybe they just had $2,000 or $3,000 out of their pocket. And the first part of that out-of-pocket expense was the first month's rent. So it's not even mine. I mean, it was for what it was supposed to go to. So there was really no security in that deposit. The deposit was $1,500, $2,000 maybe. That didn't even pay for the carpet. And if your house has carpet, it's the first thing to go. And you can never recarpet a house for $1,500 or $2,000. So the deposits were almost worthless because they never covered the extent of the damage. So the biggest revelation in my entire career, in fact, what made my career, was that I started to notice the mindset and the way I was treated when I was dealing with tenants versus the mindset and the way I'm treated when I was dealing with owners. And it's night and day. Immediately, I started taking my black cloud houses or my worst problem tenants, and I started trying to convert them over into owner-financed buyers. Now, of course, I didn't want the exact tenant that was in there, because if they were a problem as a tenant, they were going to be a problem as a buyer. So what I did was I moved them out completely, and then I started searching to replace them with a buyer that had a down payment and that had the means to make monthly payments for a long period of time, just like you and I do when we buy a house. It wasn't hard to notice the differences. Tenants were moving in, tearing things up, and then moving out. My new owner finance buyers were moving in, fixing things up, and staying for years upon years, maybe even decades. I still have notes now that are over 25 years old. They're about to pay off. They're about to end. But I've been collecting money from these people, the same people, for 25 years. It's amazing and a completely different mindset. And if those people ever decided to move out today, that house is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars more than it was when I sold it to them 25 years ago. So it would not even be an uncomfortable or unpleasurable event if I ever got that house back. In a way, be a cause for celebration. Now, I never want to celebrate anyone losing their house, and I never want to take a house from anybody. But if I was to get that house back, it would be a financial windfall. It would be a big, huge boost. So that's the difference. When I get houses back as a landlord, they're always torn up. There's no upside. When I get houses back as an owner financier, I could be in the money. So next time you're contemplating how to deal with problem tenants, think about not dealing with tenants at all. Take that house, make it into a seller finance property, find a buyer who wants to give you 10 or 12 or 15% down. If you need 20% down to make it work for you, ask for 20%. Who knows? You may find it. You can't get something that you don't ask for. If you want 20% down, ask for 20%. It might take you a little longer to sell the house, but you might get 20% down. And then carry the balance at an interest rate and for a longer term as you want, and replace those tenants with a buyer. Your new buyer will have a completely different mindset. Again, tenants tear houses down and move out. Buyers fix houses up and stay forever. It's a good thing. And that's how I've been handling my problem tenants. A lot of my rentals were simple houses, just little Walmart houses for Walmart people. There was nothing fancy about them. 1,000 square foot, 1,100 square foot, 1,200 square foot. The neighborhoods weren't spectacular. Of course, the designs were not spectacular. But one day, I was with a person who was thinking about becoming my partner, and they wanted to know who buys these houses. So I had just happened to pick him up in my truck and say, let's go, I have a closing. You want to know who buy these houses? You're going to go to this closing with me. Now, I had no idea what to expect. But when we got to the closing, we went to the title company, and there was this family, and they were dressed in their Sunday finest. All of them were dressed to the nines. The man had on a suit with a bolo tie. The wife and the 3 daughters had on long gowns, as like prom gowns, something you would really put on to go to something lavish. Not that those clothes were expensive or that you would have been impressed by those clothes, but you could tell it was the best clothes they had. They picked the best clothes they had. And they did this closing, and then when everyone left, the closer, who kind of missed the point, said, what the hell was that all about? They were all dressed up like they were going to a wedding or something. And I looked at my potential partner across the way and at that closer, and I said, these people are proud. It's one of the biggest moments in their life. They're fixing to own a house probably for the first time since any of them have been born. And it was a special occasion, and they wanted to mark the day, and they dressed up like that. Then later, after that conversation, we went outside to go get in our cars, and they were out there taking pictures, holding their papers, and there wasn't a dry eye on either one of them, any of them. They were all crying, and they were all holding up their keys, and they were taking videos, and they were talking into the camera. And I just looked at both of those people who had questioned why they had got so dressed up, and I said, there you go, look at them. That's happy. It says we shouldn't judge the caliber of these houses by what we live in. There are people that come from places that have dirt floors. There are people that come from places where they can't even own a property. It's not even within the realm. And so when we offer owner financing, even on simple houses or simple properties, or even mobile homes for that matter, don't underestimate how important it is to this person as an owner. And it's, again, I can't tell you enough. The difference between the mindset of these owners and the tenants is night and day. You want to solve your cash flow problem. You want to solve the problem of move-ins and moves-outs and people tearing down your property or running off in the middle of the night. This is how you do it. And I venture to say, when you try it once or twice, you'll start converting all your properties as they come due or as you get past capital gains, which is another strategy. Rent the houses for 12, 13, 14, 15 months. And then after you're past short-term capital gains time, then the next time they come available, you sell it owner financed. Put yourself in a different tax billing place. But that's really the most important thing, is the mindset of the person that's in your house. Complete difference. So if that story has inspired you, why don't you go to an episode where we talk about how to find a good real estate deal so you can start doing some of these deals yourself or doing more of these deals and learn about the strategies of how we actually find great deals. I'll see you there.